Hey everyone. Well, let's talk about cell phones. When you come to Canada or you go from Canada to the US, how does it work when you cross the border with your phone? Let's talk about it. So, there's a lot of common questions that people have when they're trying to cross the border, whether they're flying in or more importantly, when they're RVing in and coming across the border. And one of those questions is my phone going to work and will Wi Fi calling work when I cross the border? So let's walk through the factors cleanly, realistically. Turns out it's not that hard. Will US phones work when you come to Canada? Yes. All right, that's it. That's the video, everyone. Have a great day. Get busy living. No, I'm just kidding. It's a little more complicated than that, but that is the general answer is yes. When you cross the border with your phone into Canada or the US, it's just gonna work. Calls work, the texts work, data works so you can surf the internet, and your navigation's going to work. The reason that is because most of the carriers have partner agreements with the other carriers across the border. And your phone will just connect to one of those partners when you cross the border. No drama, no problems. Now, in case you're not familiar with the names on the other side, here's the names of some of the most common networks that are out there. In Canada, some of the most common ones are TELUS, Rogers, Fido, which actually runs on the Rogers network, and Bell networks. Of course, down in the US, there's the big three. There's AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. There are smaller carriers on both sides, but usually they're using those companies' networks. Now, with all those names, don't worry about it because you don't actually have to pick a network. Your phone is going to automatically pick a network. In fact, most of the carriers will have primary and secondary agreements, so they'll primarily attach to one carrier on the other side, and then they'll have an agreement to switch to the second one. They'll really have multiple agreements so that you can fail over, is what we call in technology. If one doesn't work, they can fail over to the next one. That way, from the user side, from you, it should feel pretty seamless. You should get your same phone number, the same apps, the same settings. You may get a welcome text from your carrier telling you, hey, you've crossed the border. I know I get one, and it kind of gives me a little reminder of what my service is across the border, because it isn't always the same service across the border, even though it works the same. So a couple things to keep in mind is you're going to be roaming. So, of course, if you have roaming turned on and your phone has international roaming as a service, you're going to connect, but it's important to note that you're likely going to get lower priority. It's not really throttling as much as just deprioritized on the network. So if you're in a big city like Toronto or Quebec, Vancouver, you may not get the same speed when you're surfing the web, using the internet. Your calls will be the same, but you may actually be getting dethrottled. Now, out in the more rural parts of the country, which is most of it, you're not going to necessarily have that problem, but you're going to have other problems when you get out there. But we'll get to that in a second. Another thing is Wi-Fi calling. I have a Starlink in my vehicle, and so I expect to use Wi-Fi when I'm outside of cell range. And I use Wi-Fi calling all the time here in Canada, but when I crossed over to go down to Oregon, my Wi-Fi calling wouldn't work. It turns out that's really common. So one thing that won't cross the border for many carriers is your ability to use Wi-Fi calling. If you're at the hotel, if you're in an RV park, if you're somewhere where you have Wi-Fi, if you've got a Starlink, you can be able to connect the phone to there and use it for internet and things like that, but it won't work for the Wi-Fi calling. That took me a little bit by surprise. Turns out that takes a lot of people by surprise. So if you're reliant on Wi-Fi calling, know that that is probably going to go away when you cross the border. This is controlled by your carrier. Sometimes it has to do with regulatory and billing stuff, and that's just the way it works. Again, this matters a lot to RVers who often have forms of internet that they're carrying, whether it's cellular based or Starlink, and then all of a sudden their phones just don't work. Now, for my wife and I, we carry 3 phones. I'll talk about that in a bit, but because of that, we basically just left the SIM card in one of the phones when we crossed the border after we realized there wasn't going to be Wi-Fi calling. And yes, we will actually pull the SIM cards from the phones that we don't want to connect. There is a per day charge every day you're operating in the other country. If you get like some gold coverage package, it may just be included in there, but for my carrier, which is Fido, one of those discount carriers, I have to pay something like $14 a day every day I'm using the cellular network in the other country. So for us, we pull the SIM cards out of 2 of our 3 phones, and we leave 1 phone active when we cross the border. So we can still make and take calls, and we just forward our other phones to that 1 phone. It works. We can't get texts from people, on our old phone numbers, but to be honest, we're pretty antisocial and we're on vacation, so I don't want anyone texting me anyway. But whether I'm in Canada or the US, one thing that always works is my Tokta mattress. You know how every RV comes with a terrible mattress? Ours was no exception. Thin, floppy, and basically useless. So for this trip, we finally upgraded to a Tokta Utopia, a custom RV mattress made just for our weird Murphy bed dimensions. We gave them the measurements, picked our firmness, and they shipped it ahead of us to a UPS access point on our route. That's right, we picked it up mid-trip right in Hinton, Alberta, unboxed it in the trailer, and bam, it's amazing. Comfortable, folds perfectly, and somehow it opened up even more storage in our Murphy bed than we had before. A huge thanks to Tokta for making this possible. Honestly, this is the first time we've ever slept well in the RV. Now, the big limitation if you come up to Canada isn't necessarily going to be whether or not your carrier works or you have coverage turned on, and hopefully you do have international coverage turned on. The real problem is going to be once you get out of the big cities, especially out here in the West, British Columbia, Alberta, the prairies. It's similar to sort of being in the mountains of the West in the States. The mountainous regions and the big open rural regions don't have great cell coverage. So when you get out into the rural areas of Canada, you're likely going to lose your cell coverage anyway because there's just no cell towers. As a reminder, Canada has more land mass than the United States, but it has only 30 million people. So there's just simply not the infrastructure to stretch across the entire expanse of the land like there is in the US. And this affects all the carriers: TELUS, Rogers, Fido, Bell. If you're on AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, it doesn't matter. If there's no signal, there's no signal. Increasingly, some of these carriers are starting to have agreements to use satellite for messaging and emergency messaging. That really helps. I'm actually not sure if that works. That's a very new technology, so I'm not sure how that works when you cross the border. You'd think the satellites aren't in any of the countries, so should it really matter? And speaking of satellites, that's one of the reasons I have Starlink installed in my truck. I literally have it mounted in the back of my truck, and that's so wherever we go in Canada, we've got a really strong Wi-Fi signal, unless I'm under a tree or at a gas station, and that means that I'm able to make calls and take calls just like a normal phone when I'm in Canada. That's how we get around the problem, Starlink. Another thing is technically here in Canada, there are only 2 networks. There's like the one Rogers uses, and then I believe it's TELUS and Bell are on their other network. So they actually share a network, and that means you really only have 2 networks across this country. And that means when one goes down, half the country goes down. That actually did happen a few years back where for the whole day TELUS phones weren't working. And this is why my wife and I carry multiple phones. Because I have a phone through work that's on TELUS, and then our phones are on Fido, that means when we travel, we always have access. Even if one tower is a little weak, the other tower, generally we can find a signal. And God forbid, if the networks actually do go down, we generally have another network we can use. To be honest, I recommend, and I know many RVers do this, if you're traveling a lot around the country, either country, it's really best to have a phone on different networks. This allows you what we call in technology redundancy. You really want to have redundancy or high availability. If one network goes down, you're still available. And then, of course, if you have Starlink, you're really covered. Some people get confused about that term roaming I've mentioned. Roaming just pretty much means working outside of your zone. So internationally speaking, it means if you turn roaming off, your phone's not going to work when you're in the other country. If you turn roaming on, it will. But roaming doesn't really add any sort of coverage, right? You're either going to see a cell tower or not. If you're out in the mountains, if you're on what we call crown land, it's kind of like BLM land down in the States, No logo is going to save you. And if you're going down from Canada down to the States, you're going to find the same problem for Canadians. When they get down to the Southwest, when they're out in deep Utah, when they're out in Arizona, when in the mountains of California, they're going to likely be losing coverage, especially once they get off the interstates. If you're on an interstate highway or a major Canada highway, the odds increase that you're going to have cell coverage, right? But once you get off those main routes, that's when you lose it. So before you cross the border, make sure you do your research. You want to check that roaming is available to you and is turned on before you hit the border. You want to know what your roaming limits are, meaning find out if there are any data limits from your own carrier when you're roaming, or if there's going to be additional costs. Factor that into your planning. Hey folks, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and the biggest thing you can do for me is actually share this video out. Let your friends know there's this weird dude named Joe making videos about RVs. Once you get across the border, you want to test your phone, you want to check the data, you want to, if you want to check to see that your hotspot still works. To be honest, I could be talking voodoo here, but I'm convinced my hotspot does not work as well when I'm in the States as when I'm up here. It should work the same. I didn't look it up before I made this video, but I'm convinced hotspots don't work the same. They work. Just don't work as well. Assume that Wi-Fi calling will not work unless you get a hard confirmation from your carrier that it will. Assume that you will not have Wi-Fi calling when you cross the border. If you're coming up here, download the offline maps. You know, with Google and Onyx, and you can always download offline maps. That means you select an area, you download the map, then when you're driving through that area, if you don't have cell coverage, you still have access to the map. Your GPS works regardless of cell coverage, right? Your GPS always works. It's listening to satellites. It always works. But it won't work if your map won't load. You'll just see a blue dot driving across a yellow screen, and it won't help anybody. And plan for no service. So bring paper maps, print out the things you're going to need, because you may not have service when you get way into rural Canada. Nope, let me restate that. You will not have service when you get into large parts of rural Canada. Remember that your data plan may not work as strong and robustly as it does in your native country. When you cross over, it tends to run a little slower. You are deprioritized on the network. And again, think about redundancy. It really does help. Have multiple phones with multiple carriers if you can. And I imagine, and I'm just thinking about this now, you probably could get SIM cards from other carriers, you know, temp cards that you could carry with you. So if one network didn't work, you could throw in a SIM card from a whole nother network maybe. But again, you know, just having separate phones and separate networks is usually a great first start to having some safe redundancy in your communications, with that Starlink layer really rounding things out. But I'd love to know what your experience is coming across the border. How have you dealt with cross-border internet and phone use? I imagine people have some wacky ideas. Heck, when we first got here to Canada, it was so weird. We were so unsure that we actually kept our American phones and had Canadian phones. So for a year straight, we had 4 phones in our house. That's too much. So call your carrier, do your research, make sure it's going to work. Come on up to Canada with your American phone. It'll work just fine. We'd love to have you. Come see what BC, Alberta, and Yukon have to offer. It's an RVer's dream. Coming up here, you can get busy living, everybody. It's the 10th of January, so like Larry David says, I'm going to end the New Year's greetings, but I still hope you have a great year ahead of you. Hey, make sure to check out some of my other videos. I got one here. We got some playlists and videos here and here as well. So click on any one of these 3 and enjoy more of the channel. Thanks, everyone.